Hello and welcome to Rathod Science Academy. Today in this session, we are going to see very important articles that appear in our today's and as well as yesterday's Hindu newspaper. So let's get started with our discussion. Before getting started, I want to let you know the topics of the day. So we are going to see important topics like the first one is ISRO launches advanced GSAT-7R, India's heaviest communication satellite. Actually, it is not at all a good new topic actually. Why? Because already we discussed about that in our earlier class. But why is it news? Because our ISRO launched the satellite. So again, once again, we have to revise this topic and we have to see what is the satellite is about and what are the significance of the satellite. You may get directly prelims question from this area. And this topic is important from, as you know, Science and Technology from GS paper 3. Our next topic is Kerala to pilot country's first multimodal transport app. So it is nothing but one advancement in science and technology again. How we are using technology for the good side. So whenever you're getting that kind of questions or essays, you can use this kind of articles as examples. And this topic is important from your governance point of view, guys. Our next topic is Karnataka planning to establish permanent state water commission. So Karnataka is going to be the India's first state to come up with permanent state water commission. So you have to see about what is a state water commission and you have to see why this Karnataka is going to form now. And next you have to see what are the advantages of having this state water commission. And this topic is important from GS paper 2 under polity. And next topic is Tri-Services Exercise. Trishul begins today to strengthen joint combat preparedness. So this article is talking about Tri-Services. This topic is important. Okay, so this topic is important from your science and technology, which comes under GS paper 3, guys. And next topic is the vision of model youth Gram Sabhas. So this topic is important from GS paper 2 under polity. So just see about what is this youth Gram Sabhas. So already you know what is a Gram Sabha. So we have this 73rd, 74th Constitutional Amendment Act, which talks about local self-government. So here we are going to talk about youth. Why we have to involve youth in this Gram Sabhas, and if you are involving youth in this Gram Sabhas, what are the advantages that we are going to get, and why government is coming with this kind of models. So this is important from your polity point of view, guys. So mostly you can get articles especially from your polity, governance and science and technology, and from these areas you will be getting 90 to 95% of current affairs based questions in both prelims and as well as mains, and you have to focus on all these areas, guys. So now let us see in detail. So look at the title, guys. Read the title. ISRO launches advanced GSAT-7R, India's heaviest communication satellite. Okay, so here this article is talking about GSAT-7R and it is communication satellite. If you want to know the basics of this article, first we have to go towards solar system. Solar system contains sun and as well as planets and even satellites which are revolving around the planets. Apart from this, we have asteroids, we have meteoroids, and we have comets, and we have icy bodies. So everything which come under this solar system. So if you see here, we have sun, and around this sun, how many planets we have? 8 planets, and around these 8 planets, some bodies will be moving around these planets. They are natural satellites. And apart from that, especially to study solar system and to study different planets, we also sending certain satellites into into this space. So those comes under artificial satellites. Artificial satellites are man-made satellites, and what they do, they will revolve around the planets, and what they collect data and information about the solar system, and whatever the thing that we want to study, we can use that. And especially they will send back the data to the earth. On the earth surface we are going to collect that, and by using that data we can go for proper communication and even maintenance of navigation and providing of security, whatnot. Everything will be happens because of the satellites, artificial satellites. If there is no artificial satellites, There is no navigation, there is no communication, nothing on this earth. So because of this, satellites plays a very, very important role. Okay, so if you're talking about communication, we are using internet services. Yes, we are using Skype, or we are using our mobile network. Everything will be operated because of this communication satellite. And for civilian communication, it's okay. So we are having internet, and we are having data, we are having proper GPS, we are navigating everything. But our India is guarded by different defense forces, right? So we have Indian Navy, which is guarding our waters. We have our army, which is guarding our borders, especially land borders, and across the airspace we have Air Force. So for this defense services also, we need to have a separate communication or data everything. Why? Because for civilian purpose, if sometimes it delays also, we can adjust. But what happens if these people are not getting data on time? If these people are not getting what is happening across the border? If, for example, Pakistan entering into India, or China is attacking India, or China is developing certain areas across India and China border. So it will be a grave threat to our country totally. It is threat to our sovereignty, our integrity, our territory, everything. So because of this, we are going to come up with a communication satellite only for defense. This satellite is GSAT-7R. It is also called as CMS-03, guys. That is the reason why we came up with this communication satellite. And this topic is very important from your GS paper 3. And you may get question in this way, guys. Consider the following statements regarding GSAT-7R. They may give like 3 statements, and they may ask you which of the above statements are correct or incorrect. So this is the one way. And second one is, they will give you in this box format. On one side, they will give you the names of satellites, and one side they will give you organization which launched that satellite. On one side, they may give you applications of that satellite in this pairs. They may give 3 to 4 satellites in one question, and they'll ask you how many pairs are correct. Only 1 pair, 2 pairs, 3 pairs, 4 pairs. So in that way, if UPSC wants to complicate the question, they may give in this way. You have to be like ready to answer any type of question, guys. So especially from last 1 year, whichever the satellites which are there in use, you have to collect data regarding what is that name and which organization. Now this satellite launched by ISRO. Sometimes the satellites can be launched by NASA, European Space Agency, JAXA, Japanese Space Agency. And you have to know for what. What is the purpose of that satellite? So in this way, you have to prepare your notes from current affairs from your space technology, guys. Okay, now let us see this article clearly. Our ISRO successfully launched this Indian Navy's Advanced Communication Satellite, and this satellite is called as GSAT-7R or CMS-03 from Sriharikota, guys. And if you see certain facts regarding this GSAT-7R, it is a next generation military communication satellite. It is only dedicated to military, not for civilian purpose, not for you and me. It is for military purpose. And it will ensure robust, encrypted and long-range communication links for Indian Navy. It can link our Navy, our Air Force and as well as our Army, major defense forces in our country. And it is developed by, very important, please make a note, it is by ISRO. And the important aim of this satellite, it will provide reliable, real-time communication for our naval operations, for our air defense and as well as for strategic command control for Army. And it will be providing information regarding ocean and as well as territorial regions. That means both on land and as well as ocean, it will be giving information to our defense services. So what are the key features? First one is, it can use multi-band communication. So especially if you go to space, this communication satellites will be operated based on different bands. So we have Ku band, Ka band and UHF band. And actually this satellite will be using all those bands. And next one is, it will be covering entire our Indian Ocean region. Not only our Indian Ocean region, it can also extend its surveillance to east coast of Africa and as well as Southeast Asia also. That means it is having a very wide coverage of our Earth. And next one is, it is one of the heaviest Indian communication satellite. The weight of the satellite is around 4,400 kgs, guys. It is one of the largest ISRO built satellite. And we are going to launch that to GTO, that is geosynchronous transfer orbit, GTO. And one more advanced capacity is having it is having anti-jamming. That means we cannot jam the satellites or we cannot obstruct the satellite. So these are the special features of the satellite guys. So what is significance, what is the importance? So we can improve our strategic and as well as naval communication, and will be also helpful for increasing of joint operativeness, and even it will strengthen our India's maritime security, and as well as we can secure our borders efficiently now, and it will be also very helpful under Atmanirbhar Bharat of our space sector. So all these are the points that you have to remember, and you may get not only prelims but even mains question directly guys, because it is one of the milestone of history. It is the largest, heaviest communication satellite and is for only defense. So because of this, you may get question in mains also. And now let us see the next article. Look at the title guys. Kerala to pilot country's first multimodal transport app. So what is this article talking about? Multimodal transport app. So are we using any apps related to transport guys? How many of you have different apps in your mobiles? And which are those apps? We have Uber, we have Rapido, Ola, next, and even we have GPS in our mobile, so which will helps you to go to the place within time, and you can also expect how much time it will take to reach that location. Everything based on that you will be planning your day. But Kerala government came up with multimodal transport system. So actually it is including transport and will be enable even travelers or passengers to go, even not only the private cabs, even it can connect with the railways, metros, and nearby autos and nearby government buses. Everything will be interconnected in one app only. So this is one of the advancement in technology which is using by this Kerala, that too in a positive side, to make transport easy and safe for the people. As you all know that sometimes transportation, if you want to go from one place to another place, what happens, it will be like very difficult to find out what are the bus routes, yes or no, and you will be also getting tense like how much time, whether I'll be reaching on time or not. And even there will be lots of issues regarding charges, private charges, like if you're going for talking to an auto, then they will be charging obviously high. So to solve all those problems, and even safety is also one important issue when you are when you're traveling from one place to another place, and that too if you are going to a new place which you don't know, in that area safety is very very important. So for all these things, now Kerala government is going to come up with a multimodal transport app, and they're going to have a pilot project now. What is a pilot project? Before implementing to a complete scale, so they will be operating certain time, and they will identify what are the loopholes, what are the challenges, and they will try to overcome that, and after overcoming that they will implement it in a full scale guys. And let us see about what is this multimodal transport app of Kerala. So please make a note that in science and technology, especially in using of websites, using of apps, and especially coding and decoding area, so we can use this article as an example guys. Okay, Kerala is set to launch India's pioneering government-backed, and that too it is not private, it is government-backed integrated multimodal transport app. So what is this multimodal transport app? It is an app, it is having a comprehensive digital platform, and it is designed to integrate multiple public transport options. And even they will be giving you the plan. So if you want to go to any site, if you want to visit any new site as a part of your tourism like that, so if you want to get on what day what you have to visit, so that will be also giving that kind of plan. So in this time, this is the best, this is the scene which you have to go for, and this is the area which is like how many people are visiting this area and how much time it will be taken to complete that visit. Everything that will be giving even minutes to minutes plan for the tourist. And we can even book, and even we can pay for the journeys across the modes without switching any applications. For example, if you want to visit Delhi, so you will be opening IRSTC app and you will be booking ticket for your Delhi, and after going there again you have to open your Uber or Rapido, and again you have to book your tickets for the cab. And after that, again, you have to book your mytrip.com, mytrip app, and again, you have to book hotels. And again, if you want to use another thing, again, we have to switch on different apps. But this multimodal app will be integrating almost all the things that are necessary for a person, okay, especially in his traveling, in his journey. Okay, so it is one major advantage. And the key features of this app is we can go for real-time tracking, and we can go for route optimization. We can search which is the best route for you, and we can go for unified ticketing. We can purchase the tickets in that app itself, and we can also pay in that. So it can be accessible via smartphones, guys. So it is one of the important major thing that we can say that is going to revolutionize our transport system in India if it is successful. So what are the advantages, guys? The first one is user will be having convenience, and even they can get regulated fares also in this app, and even it is affordable for everyone. And next one is environmental sustainability, like it will encourages public over private vehicles. So because of this, what is happening? So we are going to encourage public transport. We can reduce carbon dioxide emissions which is released by private vehicles now, and we can also improve safety and as well as inclusivity. So we have even panic buttons in that app. If you're feeling insecure, just if you click that button, obviously that will be giving information to the nearby police station. And next one here is economic boost for workers, especially they can go for better scheduling, reduce idle time, and it will also boost the revenues of this government, and even it will be helpful for increasing of tourism as well. And next one here is it will also increase the scalability and as well as innovation. It is one of example of innovation regarding this improvement of transport system in India. And now let us see the next article. See the title. Karnataka planning to establish permanent state water commission. So to understand this, you have to know about the rivers which are flowing in Karnataka. So can anyone, Karnataka guys, tell me the rivers which are flowing in Karnataka? Kaveri, Krishna, Tungabhadra. Okay, some tributaries of which river? Krishna and Kaveri. Kaveri and Krishna are the two major rivers. Along with the two major rivers, some small tributaries of this Krishna and Kaveri are flowing in this Karnataka. Okay, guys, tell me, do Karnataka is having any dispute with any other states regarding water sharing? Which state? With Maharashtra and even Tamil Nadu. With Tamil Nadu and Maharashtra, Karnataka is having issues regarding sharing of water. And Karnataka is like upper riparian state from which the water flows to Tamil Nadu. So normally the issues will be there if river is flowing between two or more states. So to solve that, we need to have a water commission. So till now we have Central Water Commission. So this Central Water Commission is nothing but at union level we have this, at central level we have this. And if there is any dispute between the states, so states will go and state will complain in this Central Water Commission, and now it will establish the tribunals, and these tribunals will be dealing with the issue. That means till today no state in our country came up with this State Water Commission. But now for the first time Karnataka is going to come up with the State Water Commission, guys. So here you have to see what is the State Water Commission, what are the works of the State Water Commission, and you have to see what is significance, what we are going to get after once establishment of this permanent State Water Commission in Karnataka, what we can expect from this. So this article is important from your GS paper too, from polity, guys. Okay, in polity you have to see about this article 262 and as well as article 263 which talks about state disputes case. Okay, so after this class, see about this article 262 and article 263, what they talks about. And today I will be giving you a question regarding this State Water Commission, okay, for practice. So this article is saying that Karnataka is one of the India's most water stressed states, and especially 60% of this Karnataka area is mainly classified as drought prone area. So because of this, they are going to come up with this State Water Commission to manage whatever the waters which are present in this Karnataka, guys. So if you're talking about this permanent State Water Commission, it is a dedicated and it is autonomous body which comes under Water Resource Department. And in this commission, who will be the members? Especially the people who have the knowledge of water. That means hydrological engineers and even people who have good knowledge on environment, environmental scientists, and even policy experts. They have to make a policy regarding water management, right? So policy experts will be there, and this State Water Commission will be also having the similar role as the Central Water Commission is there, and even members will be also like similar with this CWC. And who are the members? You have to remember this: hydrologists, some environmental experts, engineers, and as well as policy experts. So these will be the members of this State Water Commission. And what is the important mandate? So it has to see about the major rivers, and it will give the measures for the distribution of water between the states, and not only between the states, between the districts in that state also. And they'll go for proper fix on the how much amount of water they have to use for electricity, for irrigation, for other purposes. Everything they will now fix the amount of water should be used. And next one is, especially they'll focus on the farmers in this irrigated areas, like how much amount of the water should be released in that area and in which season. Season is also very important, because normally during summer season the water level will be decreased, but what happens in this rainy season? The flooded water will be coming to the dam, so we have excess amount of water at that time. So in which season how much amount of the water should be released, everything, the plans will be done by the State Water Commission now. And what are the advantages? So whatever the disputes are there, obviously we can de-escalate this Kaveri tensions, and as well as you said, issue between Karnataka and Maharashtra can also be resolved. And next one here is, we can improve resource efficiency. So if you are allocating certain amount of water, if people are knowing exactly how much water they are going to get, they can go for drip irrigation methods. So through this drip irrigation methods, we can improve the water productivity, water efficiency as well in these drought prone areas. And next one is, we can improve the sustainability, especially we can mitigate the flood drought cycles, so that we can support even water shortage in this Bangalore. So Bangalore is a city which will be facing this water shortage. So if you are managing this water properly, obviously we can control this problem of water crisis in urban areas, especially in this Bangalore. And it will also helpful for removal of rural poverty, and as well as reduction of water shortage in this area. And we can also provide proper resources for industries. So if we want to run industries, we need water for sure, because it will be acting as a coolant. So without water, then we can't go for running of industry. So even we can manage proper industrial growth also in this Karnataka now. Okay. And whenever we are giving this permanent status for this thing, they will go for continuity beyond the electoral cycles. And that means during the election times also there will be no disruption of this commissions. And we can enhance public-private partnership, community management, everything. It is a part of 2022 policy, guys. Okay, and what are the challenges here? We have Kaveri issue, we have Krishna issue. Again, there may be implementation challenges. Even if we come up with these things on paper, it is not 100% sure that we are going to implement that practically or not. So again, implementation challenges or implementation bottlenecks, and even stakeholders will resist now. So if the farmers, if earlier if they used to get more water, because of this cutting of water, if farmers are getting less water, means obviously farmers will show resistance, farmers will protest. So that is also one challenge. And next one here is, resource constraints may happen sometimes, and even rural urban divide. So if you're releasing more water to rural areas, if you're cutting water to urban areas, again there is a difference between these rural areas and urban areas regarding this getting of water. That may also a challenge now. And next one is, as you know, climate is not stable, and one year we'll be having El Nino, one year we have La Nina. So because of this also, water availability is not constant. We cannot say that this much amount of water we receive every year. So again, this will be also a great challenge now. Okay, and now you have to think about what is the way forward, what can be done to address these challenges. That is your work, guys. Okay, see this article, see the title. Tri-Services Exercise, Trishul begins today to strengthen joint combat preparedness. This is very important topic is Trishul. Please make a note Trishul. It is a tri-service exercise. So as I said, every year you will be having at least 25 to 30 exercise in news. So you have to make notes. How you have to make notes? I said that you have to dedicate separately 2 to 3 pages in your current affairs book at last, and you have to write name of that exercise, and you have to see between which countries it is there, or whether it is only India's exercise, and you have to see whether it is army exercise or navy exercise or air force exercise, and you have to see whether it is conducted every year, that is annual exercise or biennial exercise, or how many years, once in how many years we are going to conduct that, and what is the importance of that exercise. So you have to make notes in this way, in this box format, so that what happens, it will be very easy to revise before your prelims. Before your prelims, you will be having high tense anxiety, depression, whatnot. Everything will be there in your mind. You will be having a lots of confusion, like whether can I write this, or will I clear it or not. You will be getting lots of tensions at that moment. If you want to make this kind of notes, it won't happen. So here, while reading the current affairs itself, you have to make this kind of box format, so that they will be asking questions in this box only, guys. For sure, you'll be getting at least one question regarding these exercises. And this topic is important from defense from GS paper 3, guys. If you say this article, it is saying that this exercise Trishul is a tri-service. So what are the 3 services which are present in our country? We have Navy, we have Air Force, and we have Army. So these are the 3 services. So tri means 3. 3 service exercises Trishul, and now we are going to comments from today onwards. And in this, especially Indian Navy is going to have a large scale joint drills. And Air Force, our Indian Army will be focusing on creeks. Do you know these creeks? Especially in this Gujarat side, we have this kind of structures. So those are called as creeks. Especially across the creeks and desert sectors of Rajasthan and Gujarat, they are focusing, and especially they are conducting this exercise in this Arabian Sea, guys. So what is the important objective? Why they came up with this? Especially they want to test their ability, and as well as whether they can go for joint operations in any emergent situations or not. First, we have to know our ability. Then only we can know like whether we are ready or not, even if there are any loopholes or not. We need more equipment or not. We need more manpower or not. We will get all those statistics, guys. So if you are not knowing that whether we are able or not, how can we go into this real war? So even before you are going to your prelims, also you have to test your ability. Yes or no? For that only will conduct you the mock test. So based on your performance, you will analyze like in which subject you are good at, in which subject you are weak. So on your weak areas, you have to focus. In the same way, our defense force also will be conducting this kind of exercises, so that they can understand their capability, how far they can fight. They'll be seeing about their resources. They'll be seeing about their assets. They'll be seeing about their manpower. In that man also, who are capable and who are not capable. Whether we have to increase much more training or not. Whether they are updated with the technology or not. Because every day, every second, one new thing is coming into existence because of advancement in science and technology. If you're not updating on that, obviously we are going to lose the war. Yes or no? So for that, we are going to have this kind of operations. And they will conduct on land, on sea, on air, and not only that, even cyber domains. Because of increasing of science and technology, advancements, cyber crimes are also increasing day by day. So we have to be prepared for the cyber domains as well. And these drills will be focusing on especially deep strike missions, warfare, multi-domain combat readiness, and we are going to enhance coordination between these 3 tri-services now, guys. Okay, so that is the thing, nothing more than that. Yes, see this article, guys, very important article of the day. Cruising ahead. This article is saying that India's shipping sector needs help from the government to thrive. So this article is talking about what? India's shipping sector. So here you have to collect data regarding Indian shipping sector, guys. And next you have to see what challenges our shipping sector is facing. And now you have to think about what government is doing so far. And now again you have to see what challenges we are having. And for that challenges, you have to think about the way forward. You may get directly a mains based question on all these subheadings gates. What are the challenges faced by Indian shipping sector? What are the government measures? And suggest some way forward. So this will be your mains question. So now you guys tell me, India is sharing largest coastline. So what is the coastline of India? How many kilometers? 11,098 kilometers is the coastline of India. And do we have ports? We have natural ports and we have artificial ports. If you take our coast, we have western coast and we have eastern coast. This is our western coast, this is our eastern coast, right? So in which coast we have natural ports and which coasts we have like artificial ports? In western coast, which ports we have? We have natural ports here, and eastern coasts we have artificial ports. Yes or no? Okay, so which is the biggest, largest port in India? Recently, Kerala came up with one advancement in this Vichigam port. What is that port? Ah, recently, very, very important. Vichigam. Tell me, Ruchita, you know that. Okay, work on Indian ports, guys. So here, today's work is see about important ports in your western coast and important ports in eastern coast. And next you have to see different types of ports, because even we are developing port in Nicobar also. That is also one controversy which is going on, right? So because of this, they may connect with this mainland ports and they may give interlinked question in your prelims. You have to be very much careful. So you have to see about different types of ports in India, and you have to see what is the largest and what is the smallest port in India. Okay, and you have to see which port is used for which trade. Okay, in AP also many ports are there. Are these all ports are using for the same purpose? So you have to see in that way which port is used for which port is specialized for which. For sure, 100% you'll be getting question on this ports this year 2026 prelims, guys. Okay, do that work. If I tell you, you'll forget. You'll listen and you'll forget. Whenever, if I ask again one question also, you'll not answer that. I know that. So do this work on your own so that at least you will search something and you'll gain knowledge. And online students, please comment me in the comment box whether you did this work or not. Okay, so this article is saying that India's shipping sector helps from the government to thrive. Actually, this Indian shipping sector is asking the help from the government. It needs the government help. Why? Because it is facing lots of challenges. If you see the data, India's shipping sector is one of the cornerstone of 3.7 trillion economy, because the shipping sector will handle 95% of our trade by volume, guys. 95% of volume of goods will be traded by the shipping sector. It accounts for 70% of value. So I have to update this, it is 1098. And there are over 200 major ports in our country, so see that. If you see the challenges here, the problem in India is whatever the ports we have, they are old ports and they are not using new technology, updated technology as other countries are doing. That is one important problem. There is aging and inadequate fleets also, inadequate space for the docking of the ships. And this one here is always there is a problem regarding finance and as well as capital constraints. And this one here is there are regulatory and infrastructure gaps. So ports are like increasing of congestion. Even traffic is increasing in these ports. And even there is no proper connectivity, and even logistic cost is also very high in India. And next one here is there is also geopolitical risk. What are those geopolitical risks? Piracy is happening, especially this Horn of African countries will go for hijacking of ports, hijacking of ships which are moving in this region, and they will go for looting of the goods. And even we are having environmental challenges like increased emissions from this shipping sector as well. And even we are not going for proper recycling of the ships because of low demand, because of skill gap, because of high steel cost, and even outdated regulations. So we have to focus on the shipbuilding industry in India. And even there is increased pressure from limited private participation, and even tax disparities or the skill shortages, and it is one of the labor intense sector, but even there is no availability of labor in this area also, leading to the challenges in this. But government came with lots of initiatives. I added only recent one, 2024 to 25 till today. So they came up with this mission of maritime sector in 2030, guys, and under that we came up with this maritime Amrit Kal vision 2047, and in this vision we are going to attract around 12 lakh uh, crore attracting of investments in this region. And especially government came up with one recent bill called as merchant shipping bill, coastal shipping bill, Indian ports bill, and they are replacing the colonial era. That means we are also coming up with updated new laws in this maritime sector as well. And we want to promote more coastal trade through this laws, and we're also focusing on increasing of finance support for this shipbuilding industries as well. And government came up with the Sagarmala project, which is focusing on modernization of our Indian ports. We want to increase connectivity and industrialization. And apart from that, recently government came up with this Jal Vahak scheme. It is focusing on reimbursement of cost on this logistic, guys. And even Harit Sagar or Harit Nauka guidelines they are focusing on to achieve this net zero target by 2070. And even government is coming up with green digital shipping corridors with Singapore also. With other countries also we are coming together with this kind of advancements in this shipping sector. And if you want to get marks in the mains, you have to add this kind of value added points, guys. So if you are writing this, for sure you will be getting more than 50% of marks in your mains. That is the one important thing that you have to see. And let us see the next article, last article of the day. Title says the vision of model youth Gram Sabhas. So this article is very important. Just see about this. What is this Gram Sabha? You know about this Gram Sabha. You already studied about that Gram Sabha in your 73rd and 74th Constitutional Amendment Act. 73rd talks about this panchayats and 74th talks about this municipalities. That Gram Sabhas, Samitis, everything that you will see in your panchayats topic. And you have to see about the articles which related to this panchayats also clearly, guys. You may get question directly. So this article is saying that Model Youth Gram Sabha. It is a nationwide initiative, and youth is nothing but students. Actually, government wants to provide students with this experience of this grassroots democracy. Government is encouraging the students to form this youth Gram Sabhas. Why? We have to increase civic awareness, and we want to improve leadership skills and qualities in the government, sorry, in the people. And next one is we have to focus on participatory governance among youth. If you see this word leadership, it is also there in your ethics, guys. So there you have to add this kind of examples of government, how government is providing leadership skills and qualities in the youth. There you can use this model youth Gram Sabha. So when I discuss with that leadership, I'll ask again there. So I will see like how many of you will answer that. Okay, if you see this thing which is mainly launched by Ministry of Panchayat Raj and as well as Ministry of Education, because now students has to be encouraged. So who will encourage that students? Ministry of Education. And this one is panchayats obviously will be involved here, and it is supported by Jawahar Navodaya Vidyalayas. I think you might know about this Navodaya schools which will provide residential. I think in the 6th class or 5th class you have to write that examination, and if you qualify you will be getting admission to that school till 10th class. So here Jawahar Navodaya Vidyalayas and as well as Ekalavya residential schools. Ekalavya residential schools are also this kind of residential schools which will be provided for especially tribal people, guys. So here we are encouraging this students from this Navodaya schools and as well as Ekalavya schools and as well as some state government schools. So what is the aim? That you know, we have to nurture democratic leadership, and as well as we want to align with the national education policy, and we have to improve responsible, participative and community oriented citizens. So what are the key features? It will be implemented in how many schools? 1000 plus schools across the nation, and we are going to provide training for this portal, and we are going for improving of learning, teamwork, transparency, decision making through this mock Gram Sabha sessions by using the students. Okay, and we are also planning to extend this model to urban areas also, but we have to wait and see whether if it is success in this panchayats, we'll move on to this municipality areas, guys. So what is significance? It will connect education with governance, and we can make students active participants in democracy, and even we can strengthen grassroots democracy and civic responsibility in the youth. So these are some important things, and these are the keywords: grassroots awareness, civic responsibility, education with governance. That kind of keywords that you have to use in your answer so that you can attract the examiner easily. Okay, so these are the important topics that appeared in our today's Hindi newspaper, guys. By this, I'm concluding. Thank you so much, guys, for watching, and please do like this class and share this class. And you can follow us on our Telegram channel where we are providing this PDF of this class. The link is given in description box. And you can follow us on our two YouTube channels. We have two YouTube channels. One is for Telugu and one is for English. So you can follow both of them. And also you can follow us on our Instagram page where we are providing prelims question with answer, mains question with model answer, and also current affairs in short, guys. Thank you so much.